Michael Campanelli, and this is one of my final assignments. It's a peer review. We're going to be looking at two websites. We're going to check for content alignment, for content, ease of navigation, and responsiveness when we resize the sites. As you can see on my browser, I have responsive resize set up. I'm using Safari. Firefox is always a little buggy for me, so I went with Safari. I could resize -1 pixel, +1 pixel, and really we're just going to be looking at a 1024 resolution. Let me move this back over. 768 pixels, 640, 480, which is your standard iPhone resolution, and over here 320. Oops, sorry. Okay, let's go back to full size now. I'm just going to stretch the browser back out. And let's look at some websites. There we go. It's a nice size. Okay, so the first site up is Jeffery McCommas. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, Jeff. We're going to look at his project, and he did Wilson's Famous Barbecue. I'm a large mammal, so I have an affinity for barbecue. This is a very nice looking site when we first see it on the desktop. Everything's really clear. I mean, the font is nice and clear. The text is broken up. Navigation's nice and easy to read. He's got this nice mouse over effect to show us where we are and what we're about to click. Yeah, and there's our Facebook, Twitter, email, LinkedIn. And these CTAs are really cool over here. It's really something I should have done on my own site. Really, you can see Jeff's. This is not Jeff's first rodeo, we could see. So anyway, let's look at some other pages. We've got the About page. As has been said before in other critiques of Jeff's site, there's a little too much white space at the bottom, and I would have liked to have seen some imagery. But I mean, overall, the text is broken up nicely, and it gets to the point. Again, this is a very nice design. Menu items. Again, we're missing some imagery. It would have been nice to take this imagery and shift it up over here. I don't know if that was his original intent. But really the imagery should be sitting next to the text here. Again, we have a big block of white space with just some images on the left-hand side. And the CTAs are back again. Probably would have looked better either all the way across the screen with the imagery bumped up, or the CTAs up on top of the screen right under the header with just a little bit of padding. That's subjective, though. Here's the menu, barbecue platters and whatnot. Really, the page... Well, the overall look is nice. I would have liked to see these pictures bumped up here and this barbecue platter bumped over here and bump up the CTAs and maybe spread it out a little bit. But still very nice. Logo's great, by the way. Catering page. So over here, this is very straight to the point. We have some nice imagery down here. And click for more catering online orders. I'm assuming that's going to bring us to a contact form, right? And yes, it does. All right, so let's just go back to catering. Directions. We have lovely Google Map. My nemesis Google Map. I couldn't get it to work on my own site. I had to go with an iframe and MapQuest. I digress, though. So anyway, he's got a Google Map going on over here. So we can click for directions. And contact us brings us back to the same form, yeah, that we were linked to in the catering page. And the form is nice. You can see it's well laid out. It's well spaced. There's a nice mouse over for the send button. A nice fading effect. Very nice. It's got a drop down. It's a good form. Okay, let's see. Let's look into the site's responsiveness. Let's go back to the home page. And this is great. I just want to say that this is a great feature. I love that. He really did a great job on this homepage, in my opinion. Okay, so here we're going to check it at 1024, which is a standard resolution. We can see the design holds up nicely. Let's go to 768. And we see the design starts to break apart a little bit, and we're losing responsiveness. 640. That's good. Some good media query choices. We can see at 640, we're getting responsive now. This is a great menu feature. Oh, that's a great menu trigger over there. I like this very much. Again, we have a nicely laid out menu. The only critique I have of this now is I would have liked to have seen these CTAs either be set in columns, 2 columns next to each other, or running the whole length of the screen. Just to take up some of this white space on the right-hand side. It's a little too much white space. Again, that's really subjective. And let's look at it. Here's 480, so here's our iPhone resolution. And again, a little too much white space, but overall it's moving. It's doing what it's supposed to do. And there's our menu trigger. And we go down to 320, and again, everything stays nicely. It doesn't look like there's any padding issues. Would have liked to have seen these centered, but that's about it. This footer navigation gets a little crowded. And you see we go like this. Again, it's crowded. I had problems with my footer too. I had a lot of problems making this grid system work the way I wanted it to. But I really wanted to learn the grid system. But again, I digress again. So again, we're at 640. We can see that the footer navigation is pretty much back to normal. 768 is going to go up. 768 breaks up a little bit again. And we go to 1024, and the whole thing's back to normal. Okay. So all in all, this is a nice site. If anything, it really should have been more responsive. If we look at the element, and we go into the head over here, we can see that Jeff did not use the grid system, but he used his own custom CSS. I believe Jeff, like I said, it's not his first rodeo. He has some experience with this. So that's probably the best route for him to go. I'm a beginner, so I just leaned on the grid system. But anyway, again, I digress. All in all, this is a good site. I really don't think if you were doing this for a client, responsiveness would be that much of an issue. I think you would really only need responsiveness from an iPhone perspective and from a desktop perspective, because it is a restaurant. But all in all, it's a really clean-looking site, man. Good work, Jeff. Okay, we're going to move on to Ashley Howard's site. This is Signs by Design. Okay, now the first thing I noticed here is everything's very boxy. Really could have spread this design out on the page a little more. And really, the navigation is just hyperlinks. And there's a spacing issue between home and services, as you can see here. I like the logo. I like the logo on her style tile better, which I don't have at the moment. But still, I like the fonts. The fonts are good. Everything's easy to read. The text is broken up nicely. There's a link to the Contact Us page. But again, everything's just a little too constrained and boxy, and these borders are a little too thick. We're kind of like a late 90s look over here with the site. I like the gradient background. Way too much white space being used over here. Needs more noise, especially for a sign site. Again, that's subjective. Let's go to services. So, some services. We have some, again, a little too boxy and not spread out. We're really constraining the information a little too much. Everything kind of stays consistent, though. And we have some pictures over. So we have some images over here. That's good. Go to Vehicle Gallery. Same look. Everything stays consistent when we click, and that's a good thing. So everything is placed properly. I'm going to go to Illuminated Signs. Nice. Order list. All right. You can see the site stays together really well. It's all relevant information. I would like the font to be a little bigger. That's subjective. I find it a little hard to read. It's a simple form. It's aligned nicely. Really not getting anything happening with the submit button. So maybe a larger form with a larger submit button with some sort of rollover effect would have been better, much better. So we can see what's going on. If you want to hit submit, I get a not allowed. All right, it goes somewhere. Oh, we lost our site. Hold on. Hey. And there we go. Okay, we're going to check it for responsiveness now. So again, we're at the 1024 resolution. And this is standard desktop resolution. It's pretty good. This is also, I believe, don't quote me on this, an iPad at landscape is 1024. See in full screen. See what happens in full screen now. Really, there's a tremendous amount of white space on either side. So really, this container needed to be a lot bigger, and it needed to be a lot more responsive to screen resizes. So again, now we're going to go to 768, and we're losing that white space. But I think what's going to happen when I go to 640 is, yep, we lose responsiveness now. Now we can see we have that scroll bar appearing at the bottom of my screen. See? So now we're scrolling back and forth. Same thing's probably going to happen at 480. Yeah, see what's happened? Now we're cutting off the Dick's Sporting Goods sign, and we're going to have to scroll back and forth. So this site really is not responsive at all. Let's see why. Let's go to full screen. Let's inspect element. Alright, so we're going to go into the head of the document. And we're going to see the only style sheet linked here is text CSS, styles CSS. So we're going to assume that this is the one style sheet that she's using, but we're not linking to any other style sheets. As we know, there were 3 additional style sheets, and the main one being that grid style sheet that really does the heavy lifting for the responsiveness. And that would probably mean, if I go back to index, that when we look at the body, we're not going to see any pushes or pulls or grids in the classes. And no, there's not. So really the issue here with the site is it really wasn't set up to be responsive at all. And that's really the main issue. You can see this is the grid system we were using. And as I resize the browser of this grid system, right here we are at 1024. Now at 768, you see the site is resizing. 640, 480, and 250. At 260, or 320 on my resize, but it's 260 pixels. So I'm going to just stretch this back out, and you can see a change. And really, this is what we were shooting for. And let's go here for a minute. I'm going to show you. I'm going to inspect element. So when we go to the head over here, you can see I'm actually linked to normalize, base CSS, grid CSS, and main CSS. So my main CSS is contained here, but this grid CSS over here, this is really what's doing the heavy lifting, and this is the responsive system. And this is really what Ashley needed to link to more than anything. See, there's your push space, pull space, everything. And there's our media queries. So really, I think Jeff made his media choices himself, which for an experienced designer makes perfect sense, and I agree with that, whereas Ashley didn't link to it at all. And really, she would have been better served if she linked to the grid system. She would have had a much more responsive design. That's about it for my critiques, guys. Thanks for listening, and be gentle with me. I'm new. Thank you. Bye.